Hey China.
你好，
你好，
你好。
你好，
大家好，
大家好。
B 站的朋友们，大家好。
Hi Bilibili, this is Rose.
Dwayne Johnson here.
Ed here.
I'm Mr. Beast.
We are Coldplay.
It's called Nancy here.
Jenny.
キムノです。
ワノケロックのボーカルタカです。
我们是
I am now officially on Bilibili.
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 Я очень рад нашему общению Bilibili.
ビリビリの皆さん、
ビリビリの皆さん。
Bilibili的小伙伴们， Bilibili,
If you've been on the internet long enough, you might have heard people referring to this website called Bilibili, referred to as China's YouTube.
A business from China, which is actually the YouTube of China.
वो है चाइना का YouTube बिलीबिली.
But why do people think it's China's equivalent of YouTube? Bilibili, created in 2009, has 368 million monthly users today, which makes up 26% of China's 1.4 billion population. Meanwhile, YouTube reaches 84% of the US population, which is 216 million users. So how can Bilibili be China's YouTube if only 1 in 4 Chinese people use Bilibili, meanwhile 4 out of 5 Americans use YouTube? Shouldn't Bilibili be more used in China? And that's a very fair question, but here's the context. China is massive. Even Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, only reaches 55% of China's population. Therefore, when you as a social media platform captures 368 million active users, that's a lot. In fact, that's more than the entire US population. So Bilibili is a top-tier platform in China, and it's very popular amongst Gen Z. More importantly, just like YouTube, Bilibili is a platform that still focuses on long-form content, despite the rise of short-form content. Both platforms are creator-driven spaces and have a history of being a long-form video sharing platform, predating TikTok and Douyin. So in many ways, they're like twins. But here's the twist. Bilibili was never meant to be YouTube's substitute for China. It never tried to be YouTube, at least not at first. So how did it even get here? Let's start from the beginning. Imagine that you're a 20-year-old man living in China. The year is 2009. You just graduated from college and you're working a finance job in Hangzhou. Just like a lot of boys your age, you grew up watching shows like Slam Dunk, and watching anime is now one of your favorite things to do in your free time. Season 1 of A Certain Magical Index just came out, and you're in love with the character Misaka Mikoto. She's your anime waifu. One of your favorite websites to go on is called AC Fun. Anime, comics, fun, get it? It's the go-to website for all anime fans and comic fans in China at that time. The slogan of AC Fun, 天下漫友是一家, which means all animation and comics fans are one family. Basically, they're saying, if you're a weeb, come join us. You see those floating comments on the screen that goes in sync with what's happening in the video? Those are called 弹幕, dangmaku, or bullet comments. Why bullets? Well, because they pass through the screen like bullets. This feature was genius at that time because now it feels like you're watching a video with a bunch of people at the same time, so you don't feel alone. And by the way, this bullet comment feature wasn't invented by AC Fun, it was invented by Nico Nico Doga, a Japanese video sharing website where a lot of Japanese otakus would share their videos. And so you just love having a community to talk about anime to and watch anime videos. But there's just one problem. As the number of users of AC Fun grows, the server keeps encountering problems. The user experience became really bad, and I mean really bad. So you made a comment complaining about the website, and someone replied, 你牛逼你自己办个网站啊. Which roughly translates to, if you're so amazing, why don't you create a website yourself, dickhead? And so you did. You created a video sharing website that also had the bullet comment system, and you named it Miku Fans. So you might be wondering, well, what is Miku? It's a website for the fans of Hatsune Miku, a virtual singer from Japan who looks like an anime girl, and you're now in 5 different group chats full of weebs, and each group chat has more than 200 people, and you post the link of Miku fans in the group chat. And that was the first 1,000 users of Miku fans. The website actually got popular because it functioned better than AC Fun. And eventually you decided to rename the website to Bilibili because your favorite anime waifu, Misaka Mikoto's nickname was Bilibili.
Bilibili. Bilibiliが
ビリビリ
ビリビリ。
ビリビリビリビリは
ビリビリ。ビリビリ。ビリビリじゃん。
ビリビリじゃなくて三坂美琴
This was the story of Xu Yi, more commonly known as Bi Shi, his username on Bilibili. Once upon a time, a little girl who loved watching anime went online to search for new anime recommendations from strangers online, and that's when she discovered Bilibili. Whoa, all of the videos here are so cool, she thought. She was entranced by the anime music video edits, the bullet comments that showed so much passion for the show. And look, it's not just Japanese anime, there's also Chinese animation and Chinese comics. And some of the comment sections even educated her on Chinese history lessons that she never learned in class. It was 2010 and the 11-year-old Natalie was like, oh my god, this is so cool. That was insane to me. Remember Hatsune Miku? Well, guess what? On Bilibili, I saw the Chinese version of Hatsune Miku. Her name was Luo Tianyi. And people started making music for Tianyi. And I thought it was so cool even though some of the MVs look like this. But because of Tianyi, many people started posting original music on Bilibili using Tianyi's voice, just like how people on Nico Nico used Hatsune Miku's voice to make original music. And I mean, we were getting songs about Chinese cuisine, about Romance of the Three Kingdoms, a classical Chinese novel, about Journey to the West, another classical Chinese novel, and about aunties square dancing in China. So what's not to love? It was our own little niche circle that was surprisingly big. There were so many memes, so many talented creators who actually never showed their face because, you know, at that point it was the norm to not show your face as a content creator, even when you're doing gameplay videos. For example, there was this gamer creator that I followed on Bilibili. Back then, she would play Japanese games in Japanese because there were no translated versions of these games, and because she knew Japanese, she would actually read out the Japanese and then translate it to Chinese to explain to the viewers what the dialogue means.
早く帰ってくるように。しおり，是的，爸爸说的。爸爸说，你去这个森林里玩是可以的，但是不要跑得太深哦。然后这个
As Bilibili got bigger, it started to create events that are unique to the website. In mainland China, during Chinese New Year, every Chinese family would gather together and watch the New Year's Gala. We call it 春晚. It's like a tradition by now to just watch this show during Chinese New Year's Eve every year. So Bilibili decided to create their own version of 春晚, but it's like a weeb version of it. Bilibili. They invited the top creators on Bilibili to collaborate together to make shows for Bilibili's version of 春晚, which they called the 半年季. And each 半年季 lasted for 2 to 4 hours depending on the year. Some of the best and most creative works I've seen on Bilibili were produced for the 半年季. By creating their own Chinese New Year show, Bilibili was creating its own culture, separate from mainstream Chinese pop culture, different from Japanese otaku culture. As Bilibili gained more and more traction, many people wanted to register an account for the website. But just because you want to join Bilibili doesn't mean you can join it unless you pass a test. That's right, at that time, if you wanted to make a Bilibili account, you have to answer 60 out of 100 questions correctly in order to obtain an account. And boy, were those questions impossible for normies to answer. As a weeb, of course, I would be able to get those questions right very easily, and I just passed the test in one go. I don't remember how much I scored, probably 80%, and I am not exactly proud of that. Here are some examples of the questions back then. Question number 1. Which voice actress did not appear in Shakugan no Shana? Question number 2. What is the password of the refrigerator on Thousand Sunny? Yeah, you get it, like it's not impossible to answer, but like the test is timed, by the way. So that's literally how hard the exam was. So I kid you not, at that time, because Bilibili would change the 100 questions every once in a while so people could not cheat on it, people would literally pay people on Taobao to answer the 100 questions for them so they can obtain a Bilibili account. And that was done on purpose on Xu Yi's part. He once said, "We want to keep out people who are just here for the hype. I want the community atmosphere to stay stable. I don't want users who have nothing to do with this group coming in. That's why the test existed, to protect the culture." And you know, I completely understand his feelings because some people online can just be very toxic, so he even included some like chemistry questions on there just to make sure it's not like 12 years old registering for the website, because he wanted educated users, civilized users who understood internet etiquette and who is also a weeb to join Bilibili. He doesn't want no trolls on the website. So at that time for me, it felt like Bilibili was like the website where the users are the most civilized and non-toxic compared to some other Chinese social media platforms, which I'm not gonna name. The year was 2011. Two men together in a rental apartment discussing important matters. One was a 22-year-old in his pajamas. His name, Xu Yi. The other was a man in a suit, a 33-year-old man named Chen Rui. Rui was the one who contacted Yi to be here. You see, Rui wanted to know Yi because he saw a future for Bilibili and he wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to be Bilibili's first angel investor, and this was the start of the turning point for Xu Yi and Bilibili. As you already know, this exclusive weeb paradise couldn't stay hidden forever because someone saw a different future for Bilibili, someone who would later become the CEO of Bilibili. Chen Rui said, "Being small and beautiful cannot coexist with growing stronger." And so things changed. The 100 questions that you needed to answer before you get to register for a Bilibili account, it got simpler. So more people joined, and eventually we moved. People who did not know who Misaka Mikoto joined the site. People who weren't weebs joined the site. People who didn't make videos about anything related to anime, comics, and games joined the site. Creators who weren't shy to show their faces joined the site. The hidden treasure had become mainstream. On March 28, 2018, Bilibili went public on Nasdaq. At the listing celebration, the usually shy Xu Yi cried. Chen Rui patted his shoulder and said, "I've always admired Xu Yi." After going public, Chen Rui held 18.3% of shares as the chairman and CEO, while Xu Yi held 11.3% as the founder and the president. By this point, Bilibili's official description had changed. No longer was it defined by the anime roots. Instead, it was now a comprehensive content community platform with a high concentration of young Chinese people. In June 2019, on Bilibili's 10th anniversary, Xu Yi quietly stepped down. Chen Rui became the new leader of Bilibili, and Xu Yi faded into a behind-the-scenes role. By Q4 of 2020, Bilibili had 202 million monthly active users. That's 20.4% of all Chinese internet users. 86% were under 35, the so-called Z+ generation that were born after 1985. Out of China's 490 million young people, 1 in 3 was now on Bilibili. Just a few years later, that number would nearly double to 368 million, more than the entire US population. Fast forward to today, Bilibili has tons of foreign content creators who speak fluent Chinese, celebrities in China, from Japan, from the US created accounts on Bilibili, and I kid you not, even the Chinese police department has a Bilibili account. And today, it's known as China's YouTube. Bilibili has changed, that's for certain. It's no longer just a community for weebs because of how mainstream it had become. I mean, even my dad is on Bilibili nowadays. But I'll say that although Bilibili has changed a lot, you can still see that the culture that took it to where it is today still exists prominently on the website. 15 years ago, there were people on Bilibili making videos about Digimon, my favorite kids show. And in 2025, you can still see people making videos about Digimon on Bilibili. The people that formed that niche community are still there on Bilibili, including me. But it's just more than that now. You see people who make travel videos, tech videos, makeup, fashion videos, comedy, history, art, music. You got everything. You can literally find anything on there. If you wanted to learn something, go to Bilibili. It's no longer just a community for anime fans and gamers, but for everyone who wants to learn and enjoy. And I think that's beautiful. As someone who grew up watching both YouTube and Bilibili, they kind of felt like parallel worlds to me. Of course, they had different starting points, but I learned so much from creators on both platforms. So I hope this video made you understand what it's like to be on the other side, even if just a little. And if you watched onto this point, I love you. See you next time. Bye.